Hello and welcome to the news at 7, where we get to the heart of the day's stories and communities across Scotland. Tonight, people who say they're trapped by RAAC want more help from the authorities. We'll ask what help they're getting as they deal with the consequences of living with potentially dangerous concrete in their homes. Also tonight, foster care children in London get permanent homes 4 times faster than those in Glasgow. We will find out why. And we meet the swimmers taking the plunge as Goodwick Pool reopens for the season.
And in the sport, I'll be live from the Falkirk Stadium as the championship season comes to a dramatic conclusion. And later, US comedian Chelsea Handler tells me all about her upcoming show in Glasgow. I'm Amy Irons and welcome to the news at 7. Well, safe to say it's been a difficult 18 months for hundreds of people living in Aberdeen whose homes contain RAAC, a potentially dangerous type of concrete. There are around 500 of them, and many of them will lose their homes. Homeowners are also facing losing a significant amount of money. Today they met the Scottish Government's Housing Minister, Paul McLennan. Lynn Stanley was there.
He's more aware now of how big an impact this is having on people, not just here in Aberdeen, but all over Scotland. The amount of properties in Scotland is nearly at 5,000 and it's rising on a weekly basis. So it's not just Aberdeen. We're the furthest ahead in this scenario. We are the ones that have been given the demolition orders, so we are going to lose our homes. I mean, and we have told them that we will fight till the end. We'll do what it takes.
Well, joining us now is Christian Allard, an SNP councillor and co-leader of Aberdeen City Council. Christian, thanks very much for your time on the programme tonight. So the Housing Minister said today that the Council hasn't made a specific request for extra funding. Why not? Is that the case?
No, so we made a lot of requests right from the outset, late 2023. I remember taking the local government minister, Joe Fitzpatrick, to Tory and show him the houses. And we have followed up with a lot of meetings and a lot of letters. One particular one I sent you a copy to, which is a letter from our convener to the then First Minister, Humza Yousaf, who was very clear we were looking for financial support. We got a response to this. We wrote as well to the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister at the time was Rishi Sunak. He came up to Aberdeen, didn't come to Tory. Instead, he told us there will be no funding. I met the Scottish Government Minister today, the Housing Minister, Paul McLennan. We had a very constructive meeting like we always have, and we are looking to explore any source of funding that we can and getting the flexibility that has given us already to make sure that we can look after not only the owner-occupiers, but mainly our tenants as well. A lot of our tenants were the 500 houses mainly was tenants, and a small proportion are owner-occupiers. So we did a lot of work in the last year to address this issue. And as you can imagine, Louise, it cost us a lot of money. Finances are stretched to the maximum. Yeah, so we welcome that input from the Scottish Government.
Understand that, Christian. What support are you currently offering? So that's what you hope to do, but what are you offering people currently who are affected by this?
So we offered a lot of support to our tenants. So most of our tenants have been rehomed across Aberdeen. So that was a massive take, a massive effort, as you can imagine. And now we've got around about 100 properties with owner-occupiers. So we are working very closely with them, like we did with our tenants, on a one-to-one basis, assessing the health, assessing the special condition, family conditions, and of course for owner-occupiers, the financial situation, which is a very difficult one because most of them will have a mortgage. So something we're asking both governments for help.
Christian Allard, co-leader of Aberdeen City Council, thanks very much for joining us on the programme, giving us your time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, the care system is supposed to protect some of our most vulnerable young people, but a new review says fundamental changes are needed to fix it. Researchers studied 500 children in Glasgow and London over a decade. They found that children in London got permanent homes 4 times faster than those in Glasgow. They've now proposed a series of changes to the way the care system is run in Scotland. Sharon Graham is one of the people behind the study. Her struggles with addiction 12 years ago led to her youngest son being taken into care and adopted when he was 7. She says delays in the system caused distress for her and her son.
Honestly, I could say it was horrendous. And I think not just for myself, wondering when it was going to happen, if it was going to happen, what was going to happen. Is my son coming back to me? Is he not coming back to me? What was going to happen, you know, while he's in foster care, while he's, you know, and having that such a length of time, you know, and my son not knowing either. He would come back, and then because there was no work done on me, it was same old, same old. So then he would go again, you know, and he kept saying, what's happening? When am I coming home? You know, whenever I was going to contact and stuff.
Sharon Graham sharing her story with us there. Well, Matt Ford is from the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children, who led the study alongside Glasgow University. I spoke to him earlier and asked more about the findings.
Children are waiting a long time for decisions to be made about their permanent care. And those delays that they experience, the drift in planning for their future, affects the ability that they have and their families have to be able to benefit from services intended to support their mental health.
That was a big finding, wasn't it? This difference between how long children were having to wait to find that secure home in Glasgow, the children that were, you were obviously involved in the study in Glasgow, versus London.
Yes.
What does that come down to? Is it the fundamental legal difference that you mentioned?
It's 4.5 times faster in London than it is in Glasgow and Renfrewshire in Scotland. And we think, you know, the children's hearing system is right at the heart of this. Because in London, a judge progresses the case. It's the same judge. They make sure everyone meets timescales. In Scotland, there are no legally mandated timescales, and there's no one responsible for tracking those timescales. What
difference does it make to a child, in particular their mental health, Matt, when you're talking about waiting such a long time for that security, that home setup that children so desperately need?
Well, we know that children need stable, committed care, the sort of intuitive care that comes naturally to parents, where they're the forever person for that child. And children just sense that, and we know that promotes better mental health. Lack of it, on the other hand, is associated with poorer outcomes. So really, the children need a stable, committed placement. Either go back to their birth parents, if they can be helped to be the parents that they want to be, or if that can't happen, that in a reasonable timescale, they're found a permanent placement, ideally with adoptive parents.
Matt Ford speaking to me there. Well, in a statement, the Scottish Government said it has consulted on the future of foster care and that work will be used for a forthcoming promise bill on reforming the care system, which it said will include timely decisions for young people. Well, Moray Council has decided not to renew its lease of a car park at a popular beach due to the impact of climate change. The facility at Lossiemouth West Beach is under threat due to rising sea levels and coastal erosion. Andrew Thompson has more for us.
Lossiemouth has much loved beaches, but paying a visit could become more difficult. Due to concerns about coastal erosion, Moray Council says it's giving up the lease on the West Beach car park in 2027. It's a decision that's not gone down well with locals.
The pavement's just gone completely. There's like a sinkhole there. Looking underneath it, you can see it's just sand, and obviously it's a major issue and it's going to take some major funding to repair it. And we had hoped that Moray Council might have helped us do that. I mean, we have a meeting with them next week. We're still hopeful that maybe something can be done. What we don't want is for it to fall back on volunteers and community groups to have to find such a massive sum of money.
The power of the sea's already caused significant problems here at this car park in Lossiemouth, and a significant area has been cordoned off. But the council says it's difficult to justify the level of investment needed to fix it.
At the moment, looking at possibly 750,000 to try and do remedial works to bring the car park into operation. That from a council budget that has had to be tightened year on year. When we're looking at infrastructure, we're looking at housing, we're looking at our school estate, we're looking at social care and the provision there. We have to be very careful as to where we spend the money.
Chloe Sim and her partner took over the lease on this business next to the car park just 6 weeks ago, and they're now worried about the future.
We're not going to have any football at all if the car park goes, and it's scary.
Murray Council's pledged to continue conversations with local community representatives, but they say it's money that's needed, not words.
Coastal erosion is such a massive issue, and yet it's something which the money should be found, because we can't just watch our communities disintegrate into the sea.
Andrew Thompson, reporting Scotland, Lossiemouth.
Well, still to come, we have the weather with Christopher, and American comedian and writer Chelsea Handler talks to us ahead of her first ever show in Scotland. But first of all, we do have sport with been quite the twist in the tail when we're talking about the championship season, which comes to an end tonight.
Yes, indeed, Amy. What a night in store in Scotland's second tier. It all comes down to the final night somehow, and the current leaders, John McGlynn's Falkirk, hold the keys in this title race right now. They're in the driving seat and they host relegated Hamilton Academical, who are warming up directly behind me here. And they are being pushed, though, Falkirk, all the way by Livingston. We'll get to them shortly, but first of all, let's take a look at this league table, shall we? Because what a season it's been, as I said. The top two tied on 70 points, but Falkirk's goal difference gives them the edge in the last 3 games, though. Livingston have made up an 8-point gap. Yes, 8 points, with Falkirk stuttering and picking up just 1 point from their last available 9. So much still to play for elsewhere in the league, though, with Partick Thistle and Raith Rovers fighting to squeeze into that top 4 and make the promotion playoffs. Well, earlier on I spoke to Jonathan Sutherland of Sports Scene, who has been following and fronting the championship coverage on BBC Scotland this season.
A few weeks ago, it looked like Falkirk were strolling towards the title, and then suddenly they slipped up against Ayr United, a 1-1 draw at Somerset Park, and then a defeat to Raith Rovers 3-1. Admittedly, they had a man sent off, and then just last week, an electrifying match against Partick Thistle, where they lost 2-1 in the 98th minute. So you can understand with people talking about have they bottled it slightly. We'll find out tonight against Hamilton Accies, because this is just a massive night for Falkirk. This place will be absolutely sold out. It'll be an electric atmosphere. Everybody here, or the majority, will be willing Falkirk on to get the result they need to get back into the top flight after a 15-year absence. But will it happen? That is the big question.
15 years, like you say, Jonathan. How equipped is this club to get back up to the top flight, do you think?
Very well equipped, I would say, Lewis, because they've got an incredible fan base that stayed loyal during their 15 years in the wilderness from Scotland's top flight. Around 7,500 fans here this evening, and that's a big fan base for a Scottish football club. In terms of the team, they're playing good football under John McGlynn, who's a really highly rated manager. They brought in Scott Arfield, former Rangers midfielder. He was with Falkirk when they got relegated from the top flight 15 years ago. He wants to be one of the players that gets them back into the top flight. This evening he's been a revelation since he rejoined Falkirk. So they're in a good place. They will need to strengthen in the top flight, maybe a bit more physicality, maybe a goal-scoring number 9. But they're in a good place right now. But they're only going to be in a good place if they get that win tonight and clinch the championship trophy.
Well, as Jonathan mentioned, Falkirk looking to get back up for the first time in 15 years. The polar opposite, though, can be said for Livingston, who are looking to bounce straight back up following their relegation last season. Our reporter Brian McLaughlin is in Livingston.
Yes, Lewis, it's going to be a dramatic night here at Livingston as well, with the home side looking for the 3 points that keeps them in with a chance, of course, of earning the championship title for this season. Of course, if that happens, then they will need Hamilton to do them a favour against Falkirk. But don't rule out Partick Thistle this evening. Don't forget what they have to do as well. They currently sit in 4th place, and that is the final promotion playoff spot. A win tonight would guarantee them a place in the playoffs for the end of season and promotion playoff positions. However, any slip-ups there, and Raith Rovers could overtake them. They, of course, are away tonight to Queen's Park at Hampden Park. It's going to be a dramatic evening, and you'll see it all here live on BBC Scotland.
Yes, as Brian says, you can follow everything on the BBC tonight. Full live coverage here at the Falkirk Stadium against Hamilton Academical. That follows us right here on BBC Scotland with coverage starting from 7:30. The team will also bring you the goals and action from Livingston versus Partick Thistle. Both games available in full 2 on the iPlayer and BBC Sports Scotland website. Jota, who has been ruled out by injury for up to 9 months. The Portuguese winger damaged his cruciate ligament in last weekend's Premiership clincher against Dundee United and now faces a lengthy period on the sidelines. Jota returned for a second Celtic spell in January and has since scored 5 goals in 16 games. Well, Celtic travel to Ibrox on Sunday for the final Old Firm game of the season, and Rangers interim boss Barry Ferguson has reminded his players that their futures are very much at stake. The interim boss, who had talks with Rangers' new sporting director Kevin Thelwell and shown the prospective owners from the 49ers enterprises around the club, is looking for a big improvement from his players from the 2-2 draw with St Mirren last weekend.
But last week's performance was one that annoyed me, made me angry, and I was clear on that in the dressing room. I've been clear on that this week, so I'm expecting, as I said, a better performance, because as I said, everybody's playing for their futures, because it's going to be hopefully start of something really positive and good for the club.
Now, before I hand back to you, Amy, I've got to leave you with a wonder goal from Scotland against Spain. Just take a look at this, an absolute cracker in their 3-2 win in Madrid yesterday for the under-15s. And the pick of the bunch from the goals was this stunner from 14-year-old Kai Hutchinson, who plays for Dundee United. The keeper with absolutely no chance. Hutchinson, one for the future, no doubt. Hopefully goals of that sort of quality available for you to watch on the BBC in any of these games tonight, but here at the Falkirk Stadium I'm sure it's going to be an absolute cracker. Back to you, Amy.
It absolutely is, and if there's goals like that on display, Lewis, what a finish to the championship season it is going to be. You enjoy the game, thanks very much, as always. Now, she is a comedian, podcaster and 7-time best-selling author, but up till now she's never toured in Scotland. Well, that's about to change as finally the Netflix star Chelsea Handler is coming to Glasgow. Her show, An Abroad Broad, will be at the Pavilion Theatre later this month, as she told me all about earlier.
This will be a first. I mean, there's so many firsts. I'm performing in many places I've never performed before. I just said to my agents, bring me back the markets that you think I should go to, and yeah, so it was a no-brainer. I'm just going to everywhere that I think I'm going to 14 countries in like 17 days or 20 days or something. So it's going to be pretty full on. But I'm excited. I'm a big fan of Scottish culture. I'm a big fan of all European culture, and I love to immerse myself in different places. So I've been touring here for like the last 5 years. I just put out a new Netflix special that just launched about 2 weeks ago. So if anyone needs a primer, that's me. But this new set that I'll be bringing is none of that material. It's all new material. So yeah, I'm excited to just share my personality and vibration with all the Scottish people along the way.
And you've even said that you're pretty enthusiastic about finding love abroad. So is there something about a Scottish man that appeals to you?
Well, I do love this Scottish accent. We don't get enough Scottish accents in the States. Every once in a while, a Craig Ferguson pops through, but that's about it. So I like that. I like that brogue. I'm interested in that. So who knows where my husband's going to come from? I mean, I don't think I can be too picky at this point. I just have to find some sort of international citizenship. You know what I mean?
You've been touring in the States for quite some time now. So what can European audiences expect from this show then?
Laughter, medicinal laughter. It is my job as a comedian to come. All my stories are personal. I'm a storyteller. My books, my stand-up have always been representative of who I am, and whether it's embarrassing or flattering or is a good look or a bad look, I share it all. So I am an open book. And I think with comedy, you have to be in order to really connect with your audience, whether it's necessarily relatable to the audience members. You have to be very honest about who you are. And that's never been an issue for me. So I've made a living off of being myself, and I'm going to continue to do that. I don't really change up my material based on where I'm going, because they're my stories. You have to tell them in a way that's going to connect, with the people that are there to see you. And I think when you're really truthful about who you are, there's something very powerful, not only funny, but very powerful in that kind of storytelling.
The amazing Chelsea Handler speaking to me earlier, even in our jammies. Have to say we appreciate that, don't we? Now, you can always count on Shetland for a good old knees up, and this week, certainly no exception, as its annual folk festival is now in full swing. The event is in its 43rd year and features homegrown talent as well as acts from all over the world. Pip Murison has more.
Toe tapping, music and dance will dominate Shetland for 4 days. Artists from all over the world flock to the Isles for its legendary folk festival.
I come from Oregon, on the west coast of the US. It's an absolutely legendary festival. I've been hearing stories about it for many, many years, and kind of anytime you mention Shetland Folk Festival, people go like, oh wow.
We have come from Melbourne to Shetland. This place has a reputation all over the world for being like one of the most fun adventures of a festival that you can play anywhere.
Now, in its 43rd year, hundreds of artists will play at 25 gigs across 12 venues dotted throughout the Isles. And making sure this marathon of music hits all the right notes is festival organiser Louise Jameson.
To sum up how busy we'll be, we have our running orders for all the concerts, and some of them, there's little notes for the committee, and the note is, remember to eat.
But none of this would be possible without the chorus of local families who open up their homes to visiting musicians.
We get to know the musicians in a different way. They get a real sense of Shetland hospitality, and I suppose they become part of the family.
This festival has cemented itself as a mainstay in the international folk music calendar, and the music looks set to play on. Pip Murison, reporting Scotland, Lerwick.
Oh, looks like lots of fun, doesn't it? Well, from one island to another. And a new recruit for police in the Western Isles. Meet Viv, the Cocker Spaniel, a specially trained police dog trained to sniff out drug crime. Alex Morrison went to meet her.
Viv is a Cocker Spaniel, just shy of 2 years of age. And she's already been put through her paces since starting in her role with the police in Stornoway.
Viv is a drugs detection dog, so she is able to detect several drug scents. That's including cocaine, crack cocaine, cannabis in herbal and resin form, amphetamine, heroin and ketamine. So these drug scents are typically the most abused controlled drugs, and she's a big asset and able to disrupt and deter that, as she's able to detect the scent. We're going to be looking to put out 10 grams of amphetamine, which is one of the drug scents that Viv's trained to detect. So the hope is that she'll be able to pick up on the scent when we put it somewhere, and her indication will be a sit and a stare, and once she's indicated, she then gets her reward for finding the drug.
She has already had a busy start to life in the Western Isles, showing how valuable she will be to the team.
We've had a few good results at the post office and as well at a couple of warrants that we've executed. The beauty of having Viv is she can help us essentially search a large area in a shorter space of time. And her nose can detect stuff through walls, under floorboards. It's quite amazing what they can pick up.
With Viv being so young, the police hope she can continue being such an asset for many years to come. Alex Morrison, reporting Scotland in Stornoway.
Oh, I am sure she will be. Well, summer is now, mostly, and if you're looking for something to do as the weather gets warmer, what could be better than an outdoor dip? Goodwick Pool opened way back in 1909. It's Scotland's oldest heated outdoor pool, and it's still very popular with bathers today. Hope Webb went along to meet some of them.
It might be a mild 14 degrees out the water here in Goodwick, but a lot of people are happy to be in the water here when it's a nice warm 29 degrees. And we just saw everyone jumping in for the official jump in for the start of the season here at Goodwick Outdoor Pool. One of the first people in the water was Louis. We're going to come speak to Louis.
Hello there.
Louis, tell us why you travelled to be here today.
We were watching the boys over the weekend and we were thinking of activities to do, and this came up,
And what was it like jumping into the water?
I had no idea what it was going to be like, but it was freezing standing there, and the water's very pleasant.
Right, well, we'll let you get back to the swimming. Thank you for chatting to us. And we're going to now come over and speak to Mark McFarlane, who is the facilities manager here at Goodwick Outdoor Pool. Tell us, this must be like Christmas Day for you.
Oh, I'm overjoyed. So much hard work goes into preparation for the opening, and it's so good to see all these happy faces jumping in the pool. And you look around at these coastal views, it's just stunning. It's like being abroad.
And you got the sun. You didn't quite get the warm weather that we had earlier this week, but you'll be praying for a warm summer, I bet.
Yeah, I think we're certainly owed a good summer. But yeah, I think whether it's rain, hail or sunshine, Goodwick Pool's still a destination to be.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for speaking to us. And like we say, the sun is definitely out. We can see the view across the Clyde Estuary and the Argyll Hills. It's beautiful out here. I've not quite been persuaded to jump in yet, but maybe if I'm here long enough, I will.
Not often you can say that it's warmer out of a pool than it is in it, but there we go, Hope Webb for us there. Well, Christopher, what do you think of that? Would you be diving in? 29 degrees. You're probably better in the pool because it's still been pretty chilly despite the
I'm all right with a
we've had.
warm pool, the cold pool not so much. Thanks very much indeed, Amy. Some lovely pictures coming into us today once again. Some sunshine earlier on there down in Portobello, but the cloud did build and you can see that rather leaden skies there through Argyll and Butte. Of course, it doesn't really matter what the weather is doing if you've got four legs. These two pooches there on the Aberdeenshire coastline enjoying themselves. Let's take a look at what's coming up over the next few days. It's all about high pressure sticking with us through this weekend and into next week too. That means a lot of dry weather to come in the forecast, but with a north wind that will feel quite chilly. So first thing tomorrow, and temperature wise at 8 in the morning, around about, well, 8 or 9 Celsius. It is largely dry, some morning sunshine through the central belt and the south. Further north, we've got a scattering of showers coming in on those northerly winds. 1 or 2 of those showers could be on the heavy side actually, particularly across parts of the far north and indeed through the Northern Isles. And you can see temperatures there through Orkney and Shetland around 7 degrees. Now through the course of the day tomorrow, you'll see those showers just coming a little further south, but much of the central lowlands in the south remaining dry. Temperatures in the best of the sunshine, 15 or 16 Celsius. Further north, it will be cooler. For Sunday, the high pressure is still with us, but its orientation has shifted. So the source region for the air, not quite as cold, but it's still a northerly wind. So therefore, it will be chilly around northern and eastern coast, single digits. And those showers, as they move in across Grampian, could be wintry, but over the mountaintops. For most, dry with some brightness or sunshine, 14 degrees the high in west central Scotland. Next week on Monday, you can see we've got the winds going around that area of high pressure. In the sunshine, not too bad, but in the breeze and under the cloud, it will feel cool. However, it remains dry, and dry is the watchword for next week. The jet stream, fast-moving winds way up in the atmosphere, running to our north, allowing high pressure to become established. So this is the picture then on Tuesday. There's the winds going around that area of high pressure through central Scotland in some sunshine, high teens, but cooler towards the coast and under the cloud. Wednesday is a very similar sort of picture. So a lot of dry weather to come, the cloud bubbling up through the course of the day with light winds. I should mention also it's pretty chilly overnight as well. This is the picture then throughout the course of next week. Dry with some sunshine, temperatures steadily on the rise. That's the forecast.
Thanks very much, Chris, and thanks to you for joining us as well. Stick with BBC Scotland for a huge night ahead as the championship title will be decided. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.